Routine item number 9, order authorizing acceptance and execution of cooperative agreement with the Mississippi Department of Public Safety, Office of Homeland Security to utilize federal funding.
Move approved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Routine item number 10, order authorizing change order number 1 with APAC for street resurfacing Phase 1 project.
Madam President, this is Director Smith continuing on to address our roads, and he does have some items that are coming up as he's moving forward to make sure that these roads are done right the first time to begin with. He's here to address any questions that you may have.
Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
What you have before you is a change order to allow payment of some items that were not included in the original contract. What we found is that in the process of doing the road work and having to remove some of the gutter, we also have to take out some of the driveway and sidewalks, since some of them were monolithically done, in other words, done as one unit. So we're asking to allow a change order that includes pay items for those type of services.
This is still within the amounts of the bond?
Yes, we're still within budget. There's no changes other than giving us an avenue to, legally pay our contract.
How much?
It will vary depending upon the size of the job, but let me say this is a very minuscule part of the whole project. I know you want me to give you a number, but
I always want you to give me a number.
Yeah.
You got to know if you're involved in it. You have to know ballpark it.
a few $1,000s. Yeah.
That puts it in perspective.
Okay.
Chump change, right?
Basically.
He's doing this right, Councilman Hammond, addressing these curb and gutter and where the asphalt comes into these driveways. It's being done right. Director Smith done a great job of it.
Well, I trust him. I still want the numbers.
There you go.
We still giving an update to the media on what's happening every week.
We are, let me just say, not a whole lot has changed because of the weather that we're experiencing right now. If you can imagine, most construction projects in regards to this are almost at a standstill. But we have given them the roadmap and providing them information as we move forward.
Council, if you'll notice, when you go down some of these streets in Meridian where APAC is paving, rather than just doing an overlay, Director Smith is addressing the curb and gutter so that you don't have asphalt going over the top of these curbs. This is an effort to really make sure that it's being done right and gives us room for flexibility in the future to grow.
This is not necessarily surprising as it relates to main thoroughfares. That's the plan that Mr. Smith provided to us when we initially discussed the repair of curbs and gutters along the main thoroughfares. One of the things that's concerning to me as a council member, and I think some of the other council members in our particular areas, is how much of that curb and gutter reinforcement we're going to do in our individual neighborhoods, where we've called Mr. Smith or some of the other community development out to actually look and assess where streets at the same level as the yard, resulting in yard of
Our goal is to establish a minimum 4 inches of curb line on all projects that we do. Currently, that is not the case. There are several locations where you don't have that. We're not going out and totally rebuilding the streets. So, to establish a full curb line would be impossible. We don't have the funds to do that, but we've set 4 inches as a target or benchmark on all the curb and gutter work that we do throughout the city.
This has been brought up by President Houston when she had looked at some roads and she said, well, where's the curb at? And the reason that you don't see a curb has been overlaid so many times that now the curb is actually flush with the top of the asphalt. But Director Smith is doing a great job addressing these areas.
The curbs on 23rd Avenue look fine.
Some do, some don't. But it varies depending upon how many overlays have been done in those locations.
Yeah. Any additional questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Routine item number 11, ad valorem tax exemption, PV Electronics Corporation.
Second.
Madam President, this is a request for ad valorem tax exemption from PV Electronics. It was handled in-house here, and I'd like to turn it over to City Attorney Bill Hammock if you have any questions regarding that.
I see that the letter says that the application is in proper form and this is consistent with state law. All right.
We'll also need to be voting on how many years we want to do this. We had requested that pictures and things be attached. I did not notice any pictures. It doesn't look like they've done another building or per se, that this is mostly just some stuff in-house. I mean, is that normally,
Mr. Perry's been attaching photos of churches and religious properties that we may be doing tax exemptions on. He hasn't been on industrial sites, but I can get you those photos if you would like.
The only ones I'm aware of are the yellow building and the main office up there.
well, this is like equipment and stuff.
Correct.
You know, I'm kind of, I know people ask for these exemptions and things of that nature, but our city runs on tax dollars.
You're
And it
right.
seems like the big guys, you know, don't have to pay while the little guys are struggling to make every end meet. And I think at some point, especially, we have to go back and reevaluate, you know, how many jobs are still here, how many are being shipped here, there, and yonder. And what are you contributing to our community? This is stuff in-house and things of that nature. So I have a major concern about this particular request.
This
These
is
are all-
this is actually a business, although they have had a staple here in the city of Meridian. This is actually a business that is in the process of receding as to its presence and impact here on the city.
This is all part of decisions that are made by the council. Our job is to take their request, to get the paperwork together, and then present it to you for your decision. The council decides whether or not to issue this exemption or not.
Is there a time frame that you all want to consider as we call for a vote? I think you needed to know 5 or 10 years.
We decided to do them all for 10 years on everything we did.
I think we have
That
to
was a
state.
discussion we had with the county, but
That's what
ultimately
we've
it
been
is the
doing, so
council's
it doesn't
decision
seem
on how
fair
many
not
years.
to continue to do that. That's what we've been doing.
So what we're getting ready to vote on is a 10-year tax exemption for PV electronics for equipment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Routine item number 12. Order authorizing memorandum of understanding with Certainteed Sealing Corporation concerning waste treatment.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam President, Director Smith continues to try to find ways to make it business-friendly for industry here. This is a request that was presented by Certainteed, and Director Smith has done his due diligence in addressing this, and he's bringing forward a memorandum of understanding to address that issue.
Council, we had a situation, or have a situation with Certainteed, and where they're using an outside lab, a contract lab, provide the lab data that we use in order to provide billing to them. The lead time between the sending of those samples and receiving those samples back to Certainteed and ultimately to us to set our billing has become an issue. So what we're asking is to be able to, in essence, back bill or allow them the time to get the data that's necessary to establish the correct rate in place and provide that information to us. In order to do that, it requires the council to vote.
What's the difference in the two times, Keith?
As far as,
Talking about 2 more weeks, or?
no, we're actually seeing 3 to 4 weeks out. We also use contract labs, and I can say that sometimes it can become a hassle.
So by the time you guys get the results, they don't pay us for 3 to 4 weeks?
By the time we get the results, and these results are used to set surcharges. So when we're establishing a surcharge at one rate, the results may or may not support that established rate. So we're actually having to bill our previous or average data. And we found there was a huge discrepancy between the actual amount that was used by Certainteed and what we wind up billing.
They occasionally have a 30 to 60-day delay getting their information back from MDEQ. They provide oversight on the limitations that were set when Certainteed signed their agreement with the city and county back in early 2013. our SOP states that if we do not receive a data to come off of from them back from MDEQ, that we would go off the previous month's data. And what we have found is if they have a very high month that month, and we're billing the very next month, in actuality, it comes back that it was much lower, that we're billing them more on occasion than.
Well, let me ask the question differently then. If we're dealing with a 30 to 60-day delay,
We're going to give them a 90.
these folks have been here for a while, they have not failed to pay, correct?
They just started up, but right, they have not failed to pay. But we've actually went in a situation where we owe them credit because using the prior month
Right.
average is actually higher than
You
what the
want to
lab
wait
data.
till you get the right data to get the right.
We're going with a 90-day delayed billing cycle.
We're just changing the date of billing, you're gonna collect the same amount of money.
Exactly. To avoid using the average, which has turned to be an incorrect, usage fee.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Routine item number 13, order accepting bid for flocculator repair phase 2 for the Public Works Department.
Move approval.
Second.
You sure that's a real word?
It is a real word.
The flocculator?
It stems from the term flock, which is a process in water treatment.
Okay.
But flocculator, we're not pulling your leg. It is a legitimate term. Basically, this is a part of our treatment process at our B Street water plant that's in need of repair. We did our due diligence to get some bids on it. This is the low bidder. This work is required in order to keep that plant operational.
When you gonna get it done?
As soon as we get the approval back from council, we'll immediately start work, I think in a 2-week window.
What's the bid?
$49,990.
Collins, Mississippi. So at least they still in Mississippi.
Yes.
Maybe flocculator or probably something.
Not everybody sells flocculator.
They do not. It's a unique piece of equipment.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Routine item number 14, order accepting bid for steel wheel roller for Public Works Department.
Move approval.
Second.
It's in addition to the ones you had on Facebook.
This is the one on Facebook was a small unit. Actually, it's not really designed to do the
This is
type
in
of.
addition.
This is in addition to that, yes, sir. Okay.
This will keep the potholes from sinking in if you use this?
This will actually allow us to overlay our streets,
Yeah.
more than just patch potholes.
I mean, don't you run this over the thing to pack it down?
The smaller one that he's referring to would be used in those situations. This is actually for full-blown street overlays.
Make sure you're going to be sure that George or Percy doesn't use this thing, right?
Understood. Well, he sit in the street sweeper. He seemed to.
I just hope it starts coming in my neighborhood soon.
Yeah.
We try to keep the mayor off of any steel wheel roller.
It's good.
The street sweeper needs to be moving right now.
It's out today, sir. I actually saw it in operation on my way over here.
And you let me know when it'll be in my neighborhood when we get through the meeting.
I will.
It's good to see this this contract going to a Meridian business. This last one got beat out by Collins, Mississippi, but this was going to Meridian Company.
Let me just say, we fought hard with the local companies to try to give them a fair advantage on all the equipment that we bought, and we've had some situations where they've been successful.
We've also been working for the past year, Councilman Markham, to have our purchasing agent be a certified purchasing officer, to make us one of 8 in the state that had a certified purchasing officer. That would give us the ability to have local preference and to look at a bid from a wider range.
How long does that take? We've been hearing that for 2 years.
It takes about a year and a half.
It's about a year.
Yeah. It's very
Here
precise.
all the time.
Jumping back to the street sweeper, is there a route to ensure that all streets are being?
There is a route, but the timeline with the larger unit we have to get it throughout the city, you're looking at a year. We have the smaller unit, which we concentrate in more downtown area. You have approved the purchase of a larger sweeper as well. Once we get 2 operational, that window will shrink dramatically.
So we're using one to do all
One, to do what happens is this time of year you have a lot of foliage, leaves, debris. You need a big machine because you're going to accumulate a lot of material very fast. The smaller unit we have is it's almost cost prohibitive to do that. However, it's very efficient in the small, tight spots that you see downtown. So you still need both, and you fully understand what I'm saying, but
Are both operating now?
the large machine and the small machine, yes, we do run them both.
President Houston,
I see them in my ward.
You do?
Yes.
I've asked Director Smith, what is our turnaround like right now? How come some people say they don't see this vacuum machine in their area? And that's where it took some explaining from Director Smith and myself to understand that because there's so much foliage coming down, that with that street sweeper having a vacuum on it, it can only pick up so much until it has to go someplace and dump that, and then it has to drive back across town. The way he's working it right now is leaves are coming down, they're about all off the trees, and now you can go ahead and hit it kind of a bifurcated process with two separate vacuum machines.
And it runs overnight, too.
We run it at night, weekends. We've really stepped up the times in which the machines are out. Nights, weekends, we have started doing that as well.
Where does disperse for a dump truck when it needs to unload rather than it having to go to a place to dump?
Actually, these machines can't load into a dump truck because they don't dump high enough. What we're going to do is designate locations throughout town that they'll actually offload, and we'll come back later and load that into a dump truck with the front end loader or
If we
back
had to rent a dumpster and place them in certain places where it could dump and then be picked up and let us pay the contract.
there again, it comes back to the height of that unit and the height of that dumpster.
When are you going to do the location thing that you're talking about?
We're looking at using some of our property. The North Water Treatment Plant is a location on the north side of town, possibly using that. And we have, maybe even some of the athletic locations. We would build barriers, to hide the actual, the piles, whatever. But we're still talking, at this time of year, mostly foliage, leaves, and things of that nature. But to answer your question, we are in the process of developing those plans to make that operation even more efficient.
Any additional questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Routine item number 15, fiscal year 2017 budget amendment.
Move approved.
Madam President, this is a position that we need in the executive department because of the volume of calls that we are receiving. It's not uncommon to call City Hall, call the mayor's office, and be placed on hold for an extended amount of time. We have at times 4 and 5 red lights blinking on the phone, especially now with the amount of foliage we have and the potholes we have from the rain, as well as council work order requests that are coming in. We do have a need to have an additional person in the mayor's office. In early 2012, you had 3 additional people that were in this office, Director of Government Legislative Affairs, Assistant Government Legislative Affairs, and another secretary. As we're continuing to grow in this city and get a higher volume of calls, we do have a need to have another representative in the mayor's office.
So at one time we had 3 and now we only have 1.
That's correct.
Okay.
When are we going to convert the 311 system and have a human being to sit there and answer all these things?
We are in the process of doing that, Dr. Thomas, from I believe beginning next week. Right now, we've been waiting to get a few more officers, and now we've reached that point. The 311 number will be directed to the front office of the police department, and they do work 12-hour shifts. There will be someone answering that phone that is a human being and will direct those calls to dispatch.
This position, go ahead.
You got a question about the position? You can go ahead, I'll ask.
Is this position a tested position?
This is. The individual that has tested for this position that we have in mind, it did score the highest score.
Okay.
The 311 system you just mentioned, what's the possibility? How difficult would it be to create not only when we're doing this transition over, not only create a 311 system that we can use in conjunction with the police department, but something that's a general information line that citizens can call, not only if they need assistance for police, but if they need assistance for public works, community development, they have issues with pickup, they have issues with anything. They can call that number, speak to a human being, and get that immediate issue addressed.
It's actually a system that is utilized by the public school district, where an email is written to, it would be to technology at technology, and would it happen to be an automatic work order system? We are trying to move in that direction, but right now with the volume of calls that we're receiving, as well as having our guys spread pretty thin with having to do paving and pickup and pothole repair, that is on our to-do list, but right now we just haven't reached that point yet.
Understanding what y'all need in that office, a position with one point person would drastically improve the efficiency and reduce the wait time that people are experiencing when they are one of those 5 blinking lights in the mayor's office.
We're looking at eventually getting to a point where we have an operator for the entire city that goes and directs calls to that appropriate department. It would be like calling Meridian Community College or Mississippi State University, where you reach a central hub, an operator that would then direct those calls.
What's that?
We're gonna do that, let's don't have a recording, let's have.
We would, the only way that would work would have to have a person because of our efficiency issues.
What's the salary range?
On this right here, this is $35,000, and that includes benefits.
Is that within the pay band?
24,000.
24,000? That's
Correct.
within the pay band?
That's correct.
Any additional questions? All in favor?
Let's just do them in the opposite order. Do the budget change before we hire the person.
Well,
Yeah.
this person could work in public works as well. Yeah. Yes, sir. Understand.
Got it?
Got it.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Routine item number 16, claims docket.
Second.
Are there any questions for Mr. Whitaker regarding the claims docket? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Thank you.
Before we do the determination of executive session, we're going to go ahead and do our presentation agenda and citizen comments so that we can have that out of the way. So at this time, we're going to go ahead with our presentation agenda, notification of legal advertisement for the following: request for proposals, RFP, Art Museum, and 2, mayor's report.
Go through this real quick. I'm going to first let Laura update us on the parade for tonight, and then I have some recognitions to give out to some retirees.
Good morning. How's everybody? We are going forward with the parade this evening. 5:30 is the start time for the parade. We will line up on 25th Avenue, down probably close to 13th to 14th Street. We have close to 80 participants who are still going to be involved in the parade, and we're asking them to start lining up around 3:30 or 4 o'clock to make sure everybody's in line for that start time. So the parade will go down 23rd Front Street and then come back up 22nd and end up near the post office or right past the post office.
But it'll begin at 5:30?
Yes, 5:30 is the start time.
And it will end, where will everything wrap up?
Right, we'll wrap up past the post office, probably closer to 13th, 14th Street, along that area. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Anything, you don't have anything else happening?
That's the big thing. So we're just hoping the weather holds out and everybody has a great parade. So.
All right.
She's been very good, very responsive. I've talked to her over the last week on at least one of the floats that's going to be in the parade, but very responsive to emails and very informative when you get on the phone. Very accessible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You need a warm place to say Central Methodist Church will be open, there will be hot chocolate and stuff there, so
It will be, and they're always so
great to
gracious
go by there.
to do that. And for you council members who would like to ride the trolley, it's going to be third in line. So lining up on 25th, close to around 8th, 9th Street. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All righty. Some of these retirees may not be here, but we're going to recognize them anyway. The first in the police department is David Ladding, who was a sergeant in Investigation Division. He served for 24 years in Meridian Police Department. Public Works Department, we have Herman Harris. He served for 42 years. He finished up as a labor supervisor in the Department of Public Works. And also in Public Works Department, Tommy Davidson, heavy equipment operator in the Department of Public Works, and he served for 40 years with the City of Meridian. We do have here George Ricky Davidson, a welder in the Department of Public Works. He served the city for 32 years.
He has his wife here.
All right. Mr. Davidson, is the council.
Did you say 32 years, man?
32 years.
Let me say that Mr. Davidson he saved the city a ton of money as a welder, fabricator. That's a specialty that's getting harder and harder to find. I really hate that he's retired, but I also am thankful that he's able to. So he has his wife. It was my first time meeting her. Very nice lady. I don't know how she tolerates. But anyway, Mr. Davidson, anything?
Yeah, well, 32 years, long time, you know, so. You know, most of the place I worked for was like 4.5 years. When I come to the city, I just stayed and stayed and stayed, you know. Retired when I got 62 years old. So. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Next, we have Mr. Frederick Nicholson, maintenance worker senior in the Department of Public Works. He served with the city for 28 years. Mr. Nicholson.
We call Mr. Nicholson Pete. He has that personality. He's always had to go. Been a pleasure to work with him. There again, we are losing a lot of our senior personnel. He's done so much for the city over the years, and it's a pleasure for me to be able here to congratulate you on your retirement.
Thank you for your service.
Next up, we have a utility plant technician in the Department of Public Works, Mr. Charles Dean. He served the city of Meridian for 33 years. Mr. Dean.
I'm not going to say anything because Charles is going to do all the talking. He's known for that, so go ahead.
Council people, I hope that's right.
That's good.
I have really enjoyed my 33 years with the city. I started off down the sewer plant as nothing. I was just a helper down there. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from the city. I learned to be a good leader. I had to be a good listener. I also enjoy being acting everything. I was acting public works director for one day, assistant director of public works, superintendent of line maintenance,